All right, what's up, guys? It's CarGuy11, and I'm here with some friends, and tonight we're going to be talking about track days, track prep, any of your questions about racing and getting your car ready. And actually, we might be having a special guest, actually from Power Stop Brakes. He races cars for them and tests out their pads, so it'll be real cool if he shows up. And we'll get to ask him some detailed questions about brakes and everything. And that subject's always a hot one when you're racing. So
no pun intended.
Yeah. So okay, is this anybody see the feed?
Yeah, I saw it. It started up.
It started. Okay, good. I got to bring it up here, but anyway, let me go around and have you guys introduce yourselves. Of course, we have AutoNut, who you've seen before, and basically, I want to just go around and tell us your track experience, what car obviously you track, and maybe how you got into it. Go ahead, AutoNut.
I started actually drag racing. That was the first kind of racing that I was doing. I did a lot of drag racing when I was younger. There wasn't any real tracks I knew about, and there was very limited autocross, and I had a rear-wheel drive Monte Carlo, so you really couldn't autocross it. And then when I started getting into the import scene for a little while, then I started to do the we got a new guy.
You guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you. We can't see you, Tim.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get somewhere where I can turn my camera. I'm in the bedroom real quick. Let me go out front.
Okay.
So what I was saying is when I got into the import, I started doing a little bit of autocrossing. I had a couple GTIs and a Corrado, and had a little fun there, and then stopped for the longest time. And then started getting into it again when I was older. I wanted to get a car that I could drive to the track and back, and I wanted it to be fairly economical and still roomy, and that's why I landed on a GTO. So I'm running a GTO for the track right now, which is a little heavy of a car, but it's still fun. It's a family man's Corvette, as they say. You know, had the Z06 transmission and the LS2 engine. So,
all right, Chad. Road Racing 3 is on YouTube, and he just posted our first pit race track day we had about a week or two ago. So go check out his channel there. And Chad, what do you race, and what type of racing do you normally do?
I have a 2014 Camaro SS 1LE.
What's the 1LE package contain?
Some ZL1 bits, some suspension components, different dampers, the ZL1 suede microfiber steering wheel and shifter, 391 rear gear. It has the ZL1 black wheels with the Goodyear F1 supercar tires, 285s all around, larger anti-roll bars, transmission cooler, strut tire brace, upgraded wheel bearings, ZL1 fuel pump, red Brembo calipers, same calipers as the SS, but the normal SS, but they're painted red. Tremec TR6060, 6-speed manual, no auto in the 1LE. It's a little more of a pure car, driving car.
Was it the same gear ratio?
Same gear ratios as the TR6060 and the ZL1, yes.
Oh, okay.
And some other.
Their final drive was what, 391?
391. The ZL1 is a 373 final drive, so the 1LE does get a little more rear gear.
Because they weren't worried about a 060 number like a ZL1.
I don't worry about it. Because I just, as long as it turns well, that's all my biggest concern. But no, the the 391s, I'm sure. I never drove a regular SS with the. I think they had
Well,
345s.
We compared some of our speeds and gear changes, and yours is definitely lower with those 391s.
Yeah. Well, and maybe we'll touch on it later. I got a set of 19-inch wheels and tires, and it definitely could feel the difference with the shorter tire versus the 20-inch tire. So another benefit of the shorter tire. But,
and you mainly do road racing, right?
Yeah, I street drive the car as much as I can when the weather is good. Never sees winter, but when it's dry, I try to take it to work whenever I can, and the temperatures are mild enough for the tires. I love driving the car. It still excites. You know, the Cadillac had the commercial, when you turn your car on, does it return the favor? And certainly, but and I've only done track days at Pit Race. I've lost count now how many I've done. And I had a 95 Z28 back. I bought it new in 95 and sold it in 09. But in 07 and 08, I did track days out there at Pit Race when it was called Beaver Run.
Yep.
But,
right.
So.
All right. And then we have Tim from Power Stop. And how you doing, Tim?
Good.
Thanks for joining us. And
yeah. Good thing my phone went off. I just looked at my email and it's like, join in 20 minutes. I was like, oh wait, it's only 7 o'clock here, so it's 8 o'clock for you guys.
Right. And you're in the Chicago area, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's where Power Stop is based, and manufacturing just started. Again, my dad is just moved their Caliper company or the division into its own building down the road from the regular Power Stop. So there's another 150 to 200,000 square feet warehouse just for rebuilding.
Wow.
To keep up on. Yeah, our main building was pretty close to 800,000 square feet. We kind of ran out of room. So now we have storage and buildings across the street and next door. And now we just bought another building down the street for just calipers. So that's just calipers, pads, and rotor overflow. But the main portion of that company is going to be just caliper rebuild, in-house sandblasting, which we do now, but now it's actual like full on. And then we have a huge, I don't even know, 20,000 square foot facility in the plant that is just for powder coating.
Cool.
Yeah, full rotisserie on off. Calipers go right to each table after they come right off the conveyor belt. So no one touches it until it's finished painted. So it's a pretty cool process.
Nice. Autonut here is in the Chicago area, so he attends like Autobahn Country Club and
we're members there.
Yeah. But anyway, Tim, what do you race? I know you test out the pads, right? And but you have some personal cars as well.
Yeah, so I started racing when I was 4. I'm 25 now, so I've been doing this for 21, 22 years now.
Wow.
I started in go-karts. I moved up the ranks at 10 years old. I was a factory go-kart driver for Haas Racing.
Wow.
A few years later, I won a couple championships with them. A few years later, I drove for Burrell, which is a red chassis, if anybody knows about go-karting. I drove for them from, I want to say, 13 to about 16 or 17 when I finally got out of karting. In 2006, I want to say, I was 13 years old. I finished second in the Rotax U.S. World Finals, which was the same year that I won the U.S. Finals in Rotax and Tag. But the top 2 guys in America get the opportunity to race in all over the world. They take 2 drivers from each country all over the world for karting. So there was, I think, 400 countries and two drivers per country. So I was only 13 at the time. I shouldn't even been racing in the class yet. So I went to Canary Islands, which is off the coast of South Africa, and I started racing there. And it went from 300 karters in my class down to the last 35 for the final.
Wow.
So I qualified. I was only 2/10 off a pole, and I still qualified 17.
That's awesome. Hey, Tim, turn your phone the other way.
This way?
There you go. Yeah, full screen now.
So I'm trying to find a way to mount it somewhere. So I started doing that, and then I came to the final, and they said I was way too small for the class. The carts were bigger carts than what I raced here in America. I got lucky. Just from my training in America and what I've always done was just passing on the outside, and I ended up finishing 5th. And I still am the youngest and highest ranked American in the Road Tax World Series.
Cool.
That's
So I
awesome.
So after I moved home from there, I started racing Skip Barber, and I started racing in the National Series. I won my debut race at 14 at Sebring for the first Skip Barber National Championship. I won there. At that year, it was 2007, so it was the last year at Champ Car. We ran at Sebring, we ran St. Petersburg, we ran at Laguna Seca, we ran at the best track, which isn't around anymore, but Cleveland International Airport, we raced there. Road America, Lime Rock. We didn't race at Road Atlanta because I don't know why we didn't race there, but the same year we raced that, we raced at Laguna Seca with A1GP, which was also the last year for that series.
So what type of cars are those series? I'm not familiar.
For A1GP?
Yeah.
So A1GP was owned by I want to say it's right, a Saudi Arabia guy. He owned a huge oil company. It was literally a detuned F1 car with like crazy big wing, crazy big tires. Like Marco Andretti drove in there, Graham Ray Hall. It was all like specialty drivers that got the opportunity to do these races. It wasn't like a set championship with like individual teams and drivers. It was kind of like every race had like a new field of drivers in it. So they're really cool cars to look up. Just go to Google, search A1GP. It was a series that raced all over the world. They came to America, they ran in Europe, they ran in Asia, and then they'd come back and forth all over the place. So after that, I was still, in between racing karting and Skip Barber. I also ran midgets at 13, 14. So on Wednesday night, I drive to South Bend, Indiana, and go run midgets. And then Sunday night, or Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'd either go to Norway in Southern Illinois. I go to South Bend, Indiana for Michiana Kartway, Road America. I mean, any go-kart track that's in the area. And then Sunday night, I would leave the track and I'd go to Anderson and race Sunday night midgets.
So currently, what do you only race for Power Stop, or do you do other?
So right now, the only thing I do for Power Stop is I still do some consulting for sales and shops and keeping the product up and going. I was a salesman at BMW for 4 years before I left full time to work for Power Stop. I did development work for Power Stop for about 3 years, 2.5 years, 3 years almost, and it started becoming a full-time gig. So I left BMW and I started taking that full on. Became the motorsport manager, did development work. We're partnership with Bondurant, so we'd live at Bondurant for weeks out of the winter time because we couldn't do any testing here. So we'd ship our Z06 there. We shipped our Miata there. And just did data 24/7 on the cars. And then once the season started, we partnered with Grid Life and we do all time attack events. So if any of you guys want to come out and run Grid Life, please let us know. We get some driver passes if you guys want to get in there, as well as partnering with Optima Street Car Challenge, which you guys all, from what I've heard, drive American cars. So that fit the realm of what you guys would want to run. As well, we do get passes for that event as well. So if you guys do need any passes to get in, we'd love to have you guys be a part of it, run the product, and help promote us. And then this year, Grid Life and Hot Rod Chassis, which is in Addison, they're a huge aftermarket performance shop. They build some of the craziest tube chassis and custom suspension cars out there for Optima. They just partnered with that, and they're running Grid Life as well with us the whole season.
I'm sorry, in Addison, what's the name of that place?
Hot Rod Chassis.
Oh, yeah.
They're right on Factory Road. My girlfriend owned the cheerleading gym right next door to there, so I was there every day. I saw them every day. So they're running the whole event with us at Grid Life. So they partnered up, and now we have a lot of Optima guys can get track time for for Grid Life and as well for Optima. So like Danny Pops and some of the other guys were at the first Grid Life in Mid-Ohio, and we're pretty surprised how fast some of these little Hondas are that don't look like they're fast at all. So right now for Power Stop, I still do some development work. We are working on some new up and coming featured products for the year. Some new cars are getting released this summer. Car this year, we're giving away a 2017 Mustang GT with a lot of work done. That'll be out here pretty soon. We'll have some more information on that car. And then, so right now I'm building myself a stuffed Miata that will be done here pretty soon. I might not make it to the June sprints just because things come up and the car's not completed yet 100%. The roll cage is still getting some tweaks here and there. Engine's getting built. It's a spec class, so you have to sit into the rules. So I just want to make sure I build a car that I can go out there and not have any issues with, because I don't want to work on the race car at the track. You go there to race and not fix stuff.
Do you mind sharing who is building your cage?
Definitely. So who's building my cage is P&L Motorsports. They're out in Lisle, Illinois, and they're a huge Subaru, Nissan, Mitsubishi manufacturer. Paul Zuba is a good friend of mine. He's the owner. They do a lot of CNC build stuff. So if you want to build a fast Subaru, I mean, they're the guys to see. Me and my dad are doing all the body work. My engineer, who I've had since I was little, Dave Redzis, Precision Automotive, they do all my data, and they're one of the largest importers for AIM data. They do all my data and acquisition for me, so the car's getting channels all over it, wheel speed sensors, all the good stuff for building a good car. So we're gonna have like a Frankenstein spec Miata, but everybody does. I mean, if you want to be competitive, you got 90 to 120 cars in the class.
Yeah.
Every little bit helps, especially when I make 120 horsepower. So
Yeah,
if you want to have
that's
fun
awesome.
racing, I'd love to, of course, be in a 900 horsepower, Time Attack S2000 or something. But what really separates, drivers is that class. I ran last year at the June Sprints. I rented a car from Jim Drago, and I actually haven't raced for almost 2 years before I got in his car at Road America, which was obviously my home track. And we finished 4th in the June Sprints, so that was a really good showing for Power Stop as well. That's the first time we actually used our pads in race mode, and we actually had the same set of pads on from Thursday to Sunday. Same pads and rotors.
Wow.
So the development work I did on our spec Miata obviously worked because people were changing pads out every couple sessions. When I cut the same on from Thursday to Sunday afternoon, we did 2 or 3 practices on Thursday, 2 practices Friday, a qualified Friday night, a qualified Saturday morning, a race Saturday afternoon, and then a race Sunday.
Can you talk about the features of the? I'm assuming these are the track day pads, Power Stop track day pads. Can you tell us what's different about them, or because brake design is so it's like a magic ball. So
yeah,
what's different about those?
Definitely. So like I said, it's so hard. Everybody makes a really good compound, a really good pad, and every application is different. So we phase our brakes into different phases. So phase 1, all American. You got Chargers, Challengers, Corvettes, Camaros, Mustangs, CTSV, anything that's big, heavy production car that is at Optima. It's a pretty popular autocross car like C5 Z06 is a really good car to have. We had a C6 Z06. And then for phase 2, we had cars that I drive, so Mitsubishi Evo, Honda S2000, Miata, BRZ, something that the Grid Life guys can afford. These 16 to 30, 35, guys are buying S2000s and Golf Rs, STIs, Evos, Integras, because they can't afford brand new Corvettes or build these crazy cars. So they build their cars into rules, and that's our bread and butter. I mean, those guys are at the track literally every weekend destroying their car. So they're going to go through pads regardless, and they don't really mind spending the money to do so. But if you go to any track day, you're going to see more Miatas or Honda Civics or Mini Coopers than Corvettes or Camaros. at any given track. I don't care where you are, if you have money or not. I mean, they're just cheap. You crash it.
And
Yeah,
they're light.
$1,000
Light cars.
Yeah, exactly. So you throw it away. They don't use much brakes. They don't use many tires. They only make 130 horsepower. They're just fun to throw around and beat up. And then they have Camaros or Mustangs for daily drivers that they're just like, you know what? I'm not destroying my daily driver.
CarGuy and I were talking about that. It's pretty funny that when you start getting too fast, it's sometimes not as fun.
Exactly.
It's like more scary than fun.
I'd love to be in a crazy like Time Attack S2000 or something crazy just to like go to the track and be like, yeah, I have like one of the fastest cars. But you have more fun because it's just like playing any video game like Forza or Gran Turismo. You always have fun in the slower car to like get the line and hit the braking and drive door to door. And Time Attack, you really can't drive door to door. A lot of people don't like that. They're out to turn one lap and pull in, which I'm all about for qualifying to stay the wheel. They don't like dive bombing. They don't like, running in the door right there every time. So that's the difference between me and when I run Time Attack is they're like, oh, he's always dive bombing me. It's just like, hey, I'm in a spec Piana. You guys are in like a 700 horsepower Evo. I can outbrake you and I can outturn you, but once you get to the straightaway, I'm like 60 miles an hour. You guys are at least doing 110. So it's a little unfair sometimes. But then, being said that, I try to get the car moved into the appropriate class. And then for phase 3, which is the phase that we're in talks of now, that we're already out, but we want to make sure that every pad combination fits every category. And we don't want to just come on and say, oh, this. At the end of the day, most pads are kind of all the same for us, but there's a performance pad that's really, really good, and then we have like a plus pad, which is like race form. So the PST is like our high performance like track day pad for the phase 1 cars, so any American cars. And then for phase 2, we have a PST, which is a little bit less aggressive pad. For maybe like your beginners or your intermediate guys that don't need a full-on like race trim pad that's going to be like excessive for like slicks or a very low tread rating tire, which is called a PSA, so it's a spec pad, and that will help out with the guys that are going to run 200 tread rate tires, so Dunlop Durenzas, Bridgestone RE71s, Michelin Super Sports, stuff like that, like a really grippy tire for M3s, STIs, S2000s, Corvettes, Camaros, because optimal you can't run slicks, so you want to get the best car you can get.
So the A you said is the
more aggressive.
Is more aggressive. Okay.
Yeah, for the lightweight cars. We will be coming out with an even more aggressive pad for the phase 1 cars, for the Corvettes and Mustangs. But what we have now, a lot of guys that run Optima run them and they love them. But you can always go that little bit extra for higher temperature tracks, twistier tracks that would need more braking applications than others. The cars keep getting faster, tires keep getting faster every couple months, rims keep getting lighter. So all that comes in consideration of, hey, I need to, keep getting better brakes.
Yeah.
So for phase 3, we have like Infiniti G37. Because some of these cars came out so late, we're talking like Focus RS, Focus ST, Fiesta ST, Mazda Speed 3 are becoming more popular for grid life users because they're more affordable now. The front wheel drive, anybody can drive them. Parts are widely available. I mean, they're kind of the same platform. People might complain that a Focus ST and a Speed 3 aren't the same. They're kind of the same philosophy. Front wheel drive, a lot of power. Same thing as the GTI. They all fall in the same category. And every single car that comes out has to come out with different size pads and calipers and rotors, so you have to keep up with the demand. So a GTI comes with an X pad. Well, the new one comes out with the Club Sport, comes with bigger calipers. You gotta get those pad shapes made because it's a different caliper, so you can't leave those guys out.
Yeah.
So that's
that's
a great question. Is you can't be everything to everyone. So how do you
Correct.
select what cars you're going to make compounds for and whatnot? I mean, that's got to be a very, very difficult thing.
It is. A lot of guys get kind of mad because they want to run the product, and we sponsor so much, and we're at every track. We do trackside support. We give out a lot of good prizes. For example, This year for Grid Life, I think the top 2 or 3 pack are getting a full pay school to bond around for 4 days. So that's like an $8,000 school you're getting just to, win your class for time attack.
Wow.
Yeah. And I think they're also giving away the same school, the Forza 4-day or 5-day school, I guess, as well for some of the Optima guys. We're releasing a press release, or they did already release a press release for the winners of the class that get that school. It's a $10,000 school. That's all, pay expenses, rental car, hotel, stuff like that. So that's, a very, very good prize to win at the end of the year if you're running the front.
So Tim, for us, non-competitive, just maybe monthly track day, running their sports car on a track day. What would you recommend? And
so what I sent you for your car, just because you wanted to test them, I sent you the street pads, which are phenomenal. Like I said, no dust, no noise, very little to actually no brake dust, depending on how aggressive you drive your car. I have a S2000 with really expensive wheels, and there's barely any brake dust on there, and I drive the car pretty aggressive. I have a GTI that has them at white wheels, white BBSs, so those get dirty just from being white, but same thing, the brake dust is non-corrosive. It kind of wipes right off once you get some water on them. But what I was going to resend you before I took off and just do this part-time now was the actual track pads. The PST is going to be your best bet. Optima guys run them at full trim. Some guys do street them, like we talked about on Instagram. Some guys do street drive their track day pads. You will get occasional little bit of noise here and there because they kind of glaze over from being on track use, not staying in temperature. They will dust a little bit, then again, non-corrosive, so it won't destroy your nice wheels. And the temperature range is right around like 200 to 1400 degrees, which is a lot for a street car, even at track speed. Most guys do pretty easy ducting and they don't run into any issues. But our time attack guys, you're talking the smallest tire on the front of some of their cars are 285s, so you got a lot of tires, stop, a lot of rotating mass, super big aero, because it's open, so there is no Optima rule where it has to be 3 inches. These splitters are 4 or 5 feet long. Diffusers are flat bottom. The diffuser sticks out past half the wing. The wings are 1900 to 2200 millimeters wide and long. I don't even know, 400 to 420 millimeters tall. So, I mean, if you wanted to search what some of these cars are, just go to Grid Life and just search time attack, and you'll see. I mean, some of these cars are center drive. They're just full on, like blown like DTM style Evos and Integras and crazy stuff. Eric Newman, he runs Grid Life. He has a 2015 Mustang GT, really competitive. He won a lot last year. This year he went crazy on aero, and he's running our pads as well. He loves them. He street drives the car with the track day pads. Like I said, a little bit of dust, but he doesn't mind it. I mean, you got a loud exhaust and a roll cage in it. You don't really care about a little bit of squeaky brakes,
Right. So
but for anybody, I would recommend definitely just track day pads. It's a lot of pad to have. Like I said, with all my experience, I've talked about, pretty brief, and then, I developed it for a cause and for a reason. I didn't just go out there and say, oh yeah, this is good enough. Like, we had a Z06 that had, like 58 channels on it. We had brake master cylinder pressure. We had in and out of ABS. We had wheel speed sensors on all 4 corners. We had infrared sensors on the caliper and on all 4 rotors. We had G's, Excel, side to side, or linear lateral. We had infrareds on all. We had 3 on the inside that went from inside of the tire to the middle to the end, so we can make sure that the heat was transferring across the rotor correctly, and we weren't just getting high spots on inner or outer. I said this Z06 definitely was a Frankenstein car. We had a full data system in the dash. Pressure sensors on, like I said, on all the brake lines, on the pad, throttle position sensor. So, I'd get on the power and slam on the brakes. We knew what would react and how it would react, as well as the Evo we have now that we use for time attack. We have a bone stock, pretty much bone stock, Evo 9, and we transferred all that data onto that car. And it's the same philosophy. You know, we're going out there and we're buying other brands ourselves, and we're testing these other brands that are competitive to us and improving on what we can do to make sure we have, you know, the best track. And then as well as race pads, since we've done it in race form, and even with time attack and you're an optimal or grid life or NASA or SCCA, if you're up front running the front, you're pretty much in race trim. You're just not going wheel to wheel with the guy.
So Chad is running. Which ones are you running, Chad? The Rebestos. Chad.
Yeah, you can skip in and out.
I think
probably running Rebestos ST43s, which are very compatible to what we run now. Depending on application of car, you're talking like Carbotech XP8, XP10, XP12.
Okay. And then Autonet is running. Well, you're going to be running the what track? Hawk what?
Yeah, I was doing the Hawk Performance HPSs, and they pretty much melted on my rotors, unfortunately. They were great, but they redeposited really bad. And you know, obviously it's probably driver error to a certain degree. The GTO has undersized rotors, and I don't have cooling, so that doesn't help much either.
Yeah, exactly.
So this year I'm going to try their street race pads. They're new ones that came out relatively new, I guess. What's your thoughts about the street race pads?
Did you buy them already?
Yeah.
Okay. I would run them for an event or two, but I mean, definitely send me a message on Facebook or Instagram. You can get the information. I can send you guys a link in the email if you want. Hook you up with the track day pads. We had
I think
Motorsports, which is
I think they didn't have the rear. I think they
we
didn't
might have
the
them
rear.
now. I know we got to ship some new stuff in, so I have to check and see. Like I said, I don't work there on a day-to-day basis anymore. I own my own custom apparel company now.
Well,
so
Tim, after this year,
so I don't work every day.
After this year, I'm going to run these, and then I need to upgrade the whole braking system. So I was looking at different systems like the Willwood and a couple different systems out there. Because they're undersized. It's a 3,700-pound car with little under 13-inch rotors, you know?
Yeah, I mean, a stock 350Z has 13.8. So I know how it goes.
Yeah.
My S2000 has little brakes on it too, but it's just a show car.
Right.
But yeah, you said even like going back to like S2000s. I mean, some of these guys are making 500 horsepower, crazy air S2000s, and they're also on stock calipers. These little, you know, dinky single piston calipers, but with the right pad and rotor combination, regardless of what kind of car you drive, if you have the right rotor and pad combination, you can have a single piston on a time attack, I don't know, Mustang GT. You don't need bigger calipers unless you're literally running out of capacity from master cylinder, brake lines, just the overall, you know, capacity that the master cylinder can give you. I have a Honda Civic, and I literally just blew right through the stock one. So I put an Integra Type R. I think it was like a 330 millimeter one, and the thing would literally lock up at 100 miles an hour. I mean, that's just how much. And the same thing, it's still a stock Honda Civic, a stock Acura Integra caliper, which is only a little bit bigger than a stock Honda one.
I have that argument a lot of times with people because, you know, they're doing 3-pot, 6-pot, 8-pot calipers, and it's like, that's only like one aspect of the whole algorithm of calculations of pressures and stuff like that. And it blows my mind. It's like, oh, it's an 8-pot. It must be much better than my 3-pot, you know?
No, not at all. Not at all. If the master cylinder can't push it, it doesn't make a difference.
Right.
You can have a 16 piston brake caliper on there. It doesn't make a difference. If you don't have the right combination as well, we can have talks about brakes for years, but I mean, first thing you're going to upgrade for most track cars, stainless steel brake lines. They just help it fluctuating with when you hit the brakes. You know, they don't expand like the rubber ones will.
Yep.
I change my braking style per application of car, but it's all the same. You kind of want to brake for 3 seconds and get off of them. Anything longer than that, you're just wasting time.
What about tracks? Since I'm a local guy also, besides Road America, what's one of your more favorite local tracks?
Well, how local are we talking? Like a couple thousand miles local, or like Gingerman? Because I can tell you, I mean, I love Nürburgring, Hockenheim. I lived in Germany for 2 years. I raced for Volkswagen out there as a factory driver at 17. I graduated high school, moved to Germany by myself, and raced for Volkswagen out there. So I've raced at Hockenheim, Lausitzring, which is where Alex Zanardi lost his legs. Nürburgring a few times. I mean, I've been all over the world. But for local tracks, I mean, you can't ever go wrong with Gingerman. It's fun. It's fast. Really competitive. But I said, yeah, besides Road America, you have Road America. Mid-Ohio is a lot of fun. It's a 6-hour drive, but it's well worth it. Very ballsy. You know, it's a very high-speed, no runoff track. That's a good track. I've raced my whole life. My dad raced Formula Ford, so when I was a baby, I've been to Putnam and Blackhawk and Groton, but I've never been on there as an actual track day myself. So that's something I want to do this year, is get on those tracks, because we do some grid life events there, but when those opportunities came, I was already working on something else and going racing myself at other races. So I missed those opportunities to go to those tracks. But I definitely want to run Blackhawk, so I'll take my spec me out of there. I have to go run Groton. I have to run Putnam. Autobahn is, I don't know where exactly you live, but Autobahn's a fun track to go to. Very technical. It is flat, but if you can go fast there, you can go fast pretty much anywhere, because it's just long, sweeping.
There's a lot of turns. I mean,
yeah, I went up last summer and did the full track to visit AutoNut. And, man, I could not learn that track. It was too many turns.
Yeah, it's a technical little track. North Course is good for getting situated in cars and braking and just overall car setup. Once you get to South, then it becomes a lot more of a technical track. And a lot of people don't understand that. It's like, oh, I can go fast at Gingerman, or I can go fast Road America, or I can go fast at Blackhawk. But Autobahn's that tricky little track that if you can go fast there, you can go fast anywhere. Like I've been there in Spec Miata, I've been there in our Z06, I've been there in Time Attack in the Evo, a Ford Mustang GT500, plenty of Formula cars. So it's a very tricky little track.
So
if you haven't been there, definitely go there.
So do you what's your favorite car to drive on the track?
Well, I mean, I've been pretty privileged my whole life. I've driven, Formula cars, some USF 2000, Indy Lights, Pro Mazda, or Star Mazda, whatever you want to call it, the carbon car. I haven't driven, which is my dream car, obviously a GT3 RS. I've never driven one on the track. So I'd love to definitely get behind the wheel of one of those. No offense to C6 to 06 guys, but that car is one hell of a handful. So bravo to you for doing that. I've been doing this my whole life, and that is just one crazy car. Never go in it. I don't know why. Maybe because we didn't have racing seats in it, but I just couldn't get comfortable. Even with a 5-point harness with stock seats, it just wasn't a very settling car. At higher speeds, the front end's kind of light, the car kind of like pulls you left and right. But I mean, I love to drive one that was like really hooked up. It was a really good car. I mean, stock 505 horsepower. It definitely feels more than that, but I mean, that's just like one hell of a car.
It's funny. Everybody says that about that car. That is just one of the wild horses almost.
It's weird. Yeah, I don't think it says 505, but that car pulls like a rape date. Every time I get on it, no matter what gear, that car just wants to just support the tires every time.
Randy Pope said he won't drive that car without the stability on it.
Z06 at Road Atlanta last year. That was a lot of fun. Favorite track car? I don't even know. I couldn't pick. If I had to pick one, it had to be a GT3 RS just because that's my dream car. But
have you driven one? I love that car too.
I've never driven one. I've driven everything but. I've driven Gallardos on the track. Fun car, understeers because it's all-wheel drive. 458's a good car. 430 is a good car. 48 Scuderia is a good car. I drove a construction owner, bought a brand new black one a few years ago. We went to Autobahn for his first track day, and his wife kept calling him and was like, just don't crash the car, you just bought it. So he was kind of like, you know, had the mindset like, oh, I got to bring my car home to my wife kind of thing. I just bought it. So that was pretty fun to get the keys to that car and show him what the capabilities of that car were. But yeah, I mean, anything Formula car, anything that like Formula Mazda was a good car. It's full carbon fiber, the Renaissance rotary motor out of an RX-8 with a little bit of, you know, performance adders. I mean, that car is just blistering on tracks. Another fun car that I drive a lot is a Radical. I do the Radical Racing School for Team Stradale at Autobahn. So if you guys want to definitely sign up, just go to teamstradale.com or go on Google, do a Radical School for full day in a Radical with one-on-one coaching the whole day. I think it's right around like $27.95.
How do bigger people fit in the Radical? I'm 6'3".
You'd be surprised. They actually are pretty roomy cars. So the Radical is a big 2-seat like LMP style car, and it's like a really big like custom fiberglass seat that has like 2 ridges in it. So it's like driving a go-kart, like a fun you know, amusement park kind of thing. Like it's one size fits all. But when I go, I have my own seat board, so I fit in the car fine. But any size guy can drive it, or a girl. You just have to put padding in there. But once you get to the single-seater Radical, then you have to obviously pour your own seat because it's an open tub, so you have to pour a seat to fit yourself in there.
Yeah, those are pretty sweet cars. I've seen, there was one in Pittsburgh area. They had it at the car show last year, the Vintage Grand Prix. So yeah, that is pretty sweet. But
yeah, it's a little Hayabusa motor. Now they're paddle shifter, so it's just like an air shifter or any kind of drag bike. It's same setup. You just pull the pedal up on the right finger to upshift, and then the left one to downshift. Auto blip. I mean, you never miss a gear, and it just sounds really, really cool. I have a video of me driving one on my Instagram. You have to scroll down a little bit. My S2000 just got finished, so I kind of flooded with S2000 pictures.
Wait, what are you doing with the S2000? Yeah, are you selling it?
So I did have it up. A few interests in trades. Like I said, I really wanted GT3. I obviously can't afford one right now, but I'd love to get my hands on like a 2008 or 2009 911 and make my own GT3 clone, just because there's improvements you can do to that car. So why spend the extra money to just improve it in general when I can just buy run-of-the-mill, you know, Carrera S, and you know, I have hookups with a lot of Porsche people, so I can get, you know, good suspension, good set of wheels, you know, bolt and roll cage, and have an ultimate daily driver, and as well as a track car if I ever want to do that. Because of the opportunities I have, I don't need to track my my street cars or personal cars. I do have race cars for that, but it is always fun just to go out and shake it down. So I think I just blew an oil pump because I was having some issues with the car a few days ago. I started it, the oil light was on, and I went to go start it again this morning. Me and my dad pulled the oil filter off, and there was no oil coming out of it when I started it. So I think the oil pump went. So the car's sitting in the back right now. Got to order some parts from Honda tomorrow. But I've always wanted one. It is like the ultimate track car you can buy now, since they are coming down in price. 9,000 RPM rev limiter, 240 horse.
That's crazy.
Pack. They're anything. If you can be faster than S2000, you can be fast in a Z06. So that's what people do. They get rid of S2000 and go right to C5 Z06s. Because that's probably the best platform for Corvettes is a C5 Z06. So I've heard. I bought that car.
Why that over the C6 Z06? Because of the weight?
Weight and the suspension geometry before whoever left, when that car was finalized, whoever left and went to another manufacturer, that is like the best platform. I mean, everybody at Optima Street Car runs a C5 Z06,
Yeah.
and I mean they annihilate everything. I'm building my own LMP style car, which is like a radical, but it's gonna be a little bit bigger. It's gonna run a Porsche transaxle, either LS1 or LS3, whatever I can get my hands on. Anything that's like that is crazy money right now, so I'm just holding off. Full tube chassis, flat bottom, rear engine, or I mean you could kind of say mid engine, but it mid engine, rear transmission will be the back of the car, and then for front suspension, it's going to be C5 Z06 front lower knuckles, and on top is 2006 Porsche Cayenne turbo top control arms, and in the rear, I don't know what we're doing 100% in the rear. I want to say it's going to be C5 up and lower, but we haven't figured out how wide we want to go with wheels, tires, and as well as bodywork. That'll be last because it's a lot of fiberglass and a lot of building the skeleton to make the mold that we want to make it look like an LMP car.
Have you driven the C7? Have you driven the C7 Corvette?
I have not yet.
Yeah.
I have not. I wanted that new mid-engine one that they're coming out with, the
Yeah.
or whatever it's called. I want to drive one of those.
2020.
Yeah, that's too long. That's when the 4 GTs will be coming back down in price again. Because they're only $700,000 right now, I guess.
What tips can you give the guys getting started with racing, or wanting to start doing some track time?
Besides a lot of money, which is not a bad thing. I mean, anything in our sport costs money. Buying a car, I highly recommend getting track insurance. You just never, ever, ever know, regardless of how your car's prepped or how you're driving. You just never know. Mistakes happen. Things happen. I would definitely look into getting track insurance for beginners or intermediate guys that are getting into it more, just because it's always safe to have that. Second off is make sure you get instruction from a proper instructor.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just have some random person jump in your car that says, "Oh, I can help you out." Because, for example, I helped a beginner out in his brand new GT350R last year at Road America, and the instructor had the kid sit all the way up in the car. He wasn't comfortable. He felt like he was going to spin out every time because his helmet's hitting the roof of the car. His mirrors are all messed up. He's his knees are hitting the steering wheel every time he turns, and he wasn't comfortable. And that's a $90,000 to $100,000 car that the kid just bought, and he's at Road America of all tracks. So I had him get out of his car. I had him go to the bathroom, and he left his key in the car because I got to know the kid pretty well. And I lowered the seat all the way down to the bottom, and I had it slammed to the floor. I put his steering wheel down. It was kind of my height, so I put his mirrors where I would usually be sitting if I was driving his car. And he got in. He's like, "Man, what happened to my seat?" I'm like, "Sitting on the ground." I'm like, "This is how you should drive your car." So he drove around the paddock, make sure he was comfortable with his helmet on in the paddock before we went on track. And he just wasn't comfortable at all in the car. So we went out on the track for the last session, and he was going like mid-60s through the carousel. With the other instructor in the car, we went out there, he was doing like 85, 88.
Oh,
Wow.
Because he was actually sitting in the car correctly, and he didn't feel his ass was, hitting the roof of the car. And he's like, "Wait, I feel like the car's gonna spin out." I'm like, "No, you don't feel the car responding. You just feel your body responding, holding yourself in the car. You don't actually feel yourself in the car. You're feeling it off your butt that you're gonna spin because you're sliding across the seat, because you're holding yourself in, bracing yourself in the turns. You're not actually letting the seat do the work." And these are really nice seats, and they're really supportive. So I was like, "Dude, you got it 100%. So we went out there, and he was so pissed that he learned to get in his car comfortably the first time, the last session of the day, where he just blew, 4 sessions in the beginning of the day because he wasn't comfortable. So definitely being comfortable in the car is one. Good brakes are two. You don't have to buy power stop. Just make sure you get a good set of pads, a good set of rotors, and all your suspension stuff's tight. Get a higher performance brake fluid, because that's the first fail, is people just go out there on stock fluid, overboil it, and they lost their brakes regardless of if they have F1 carbon fiber rotors and pads. The fluid will spoil out. Second off will be definitely properly inflated tires. If you have, for example, let's say a Z06 or a Miata, I'm stepping into the house again. My phone's going to die. I don't want to die on you guys. But definitely read forums on what application car you have. What is the recommended tire pressure? Most people are running for the size tire, width, diameter, and size for your application. So if you have a 1999 Miata and you have 15-inch tires on there and they're Dunlop Durenzas, most guys run 30 to 33 pounds. So you don't want to go out there with 44, it says on the door. You want to go out there with recommended pressures, because tires do grow. You're a beginner, you're throwing the car in, you're just letting the car understeer. There's no power. Car gets light, starts to drift. As it's at 43, it goes to 53 instead of being at 33 going to 37 or 38.
Right.
So that's another really important thing. Make sure your wheels are tight. It sounds really stupid, but make sure you definitely torque your wheels every time you come in. Always recommend checking tire pressures as soon as you come in. So you start at 33 and you're out there screwing around, letting the car understeer, drifting, sliding it around, doing whatever you got to do. Make sure they don't overgrow, and then you just destroy your tires, because then they're balling up. You're getting terrible tread wear. You're letting the tires do all the work instead of letting the car do some of the work. Make sure you come in and check your tire pressures when they're hot, so you know how much they grew. And as you get better, the tires shouldn't grow as much as they did in the beginning of the day, because you're obviously driving to the limits of the car and the tires, not just letting the tires squeal around and, just blow seconds off your lap time.
Yep.
Next thing is important is definitely check your oil. Every time, regardless of what kind of car you have, cars do drink oil, and consumption does swoosh left to right in turns and G-forces. So definitely check your oil. And I know it gets expensive, but definitely you want to have proper racing gear. Like I said, you just never know in accidents. Just make sure you're prepared. And if you're going to run stock seats and stock seat belts, proper working order. And, you're not going to hurt yourself or a passenger. Let's say if you do want to have it in your car, you don't want to hurt them, especially if it's an instructor and they're trying to instruct you. You don't want to think and show them that you're better than they are, because a lot of instructors do die driving in passengers' cars because they just don't listen or properly, prepped for the track. So you just want to be very, very careful with that. I always tell people, the only way you're going to learn is if you listen to what I have to say. If you go out there and you try to prove to me how good you are, we're just going to blow a session and we're just going to pull in, because I don't want to risk my life in your car. I'd rather have you learn and pick up a little bit every session, day by day or session by session, than just going out there and being like, oh, hey, let's set a track record the first time on track. And then we end up in a wall, and then your car's going home on, a tow truck from AAA.
Yeah. Now, do you do instruction or just?
I do both. I do racing schools for Team Stradale, and then I do 2 instructions. I do instructions for them per client if they ask for who I am, since I've been doing this for, I think, 5 years now for them, as well as my own private coaching. And prices do vary on location, car, experience, stuff like that.
That's awesome.
So it might be a little expensive. I'm going to throw it out there. It's usually like $750 a day. But that's one-on-one every day in the car in the session, from 8 to 5 or 8 to 6, whatever the track day is, in your car, setting you up, getting you situated in the car, making sure you can see right, your mirrors are in the right location. If we can, obviously do a track walk and pick up every little bit we can. Use these rumble strips, don't use these rumble strips. Shift here, don't shift here, brake here, gas here. People just go on track and just say, oh, whatever, I'm just going to wing it and pick it up from there. And if you don't walk the track beforehand, or you don't know the track before you go there, or you have an instructor that doesn't know what they're talking about, and you're using all the wrong curbing, you're going through ball joints, lower control arms.
Yeah. But no, that's great.
What track
advice.
what track is that at where you do the instruction?
I think you got cut off, but no, I mean, for everybody, I mean, that's one thing. I mean, you can't be arrogant. You can't say, oh, I know how to drive. Definitely take advantage if an instructor is offered at your track, because they know the track. You don't, and they'll give you great tips and hints and how to take this turn, because it's not just making the perfect apex. Sometimes you take one late, sometimes you take one early, so they know all that.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been doing it a few years now, and I still like to have an instructor. I mean,
Well, that's what my next question was to Tim, is where he's doing this instructional stuff, because you can do the school for like a few $1,000, but I don't want to do that. But it would be awesome for, like he said, like $750 for him to sit there and one-on-one instruction. That'd be fantastic.
yeah.
I'm very, very interested in that, especially if he's doing it local at the Audubon Country Club or something. I would definitely sign up this year for that.
And the when I came out last year at the Audubon, they did have instructors available, which I took advantage of. The only thing, it was a different instructor every session, and but it was good. I mean, it was still definitely helpful, especially for that track with so many turns and so many such a long track. So I would have not felt comfortable doing it on my own. So great advice to definitely use an instructor. But we probably lost Tim at this point, but that's okay. He gave us a ton of information. That was really, really great that he stopped by. Hopefully, Chad, I don't know if you can come back in, but I know you're having some. Oh, there's Tim.
Yeah, my phone died.
Okay.
So back to
the last question. Real question. Yeah. The last thing we were talking about, I was wondering, you said you do that one-on-one instruction. At what track is that?
So I've done instruction at Audubon, obviously home track for me and a lot of my clientele. Road America, Mid Ohio. I did a couple at the Glass Grid Life event. I did Mid Ohio.
What dictates that? I mean, do you have a schedule for 2017 already, or?
I don't. I'm actually pretty open. Like I said, I own my own custom apparel company. So if anybody's looking for instructions, I can send you guys a link to my email, and just send me an email what you have.
Yeah, because I was just talking to CarGuy. Is I absolutely would love that, because I mean, when you start going to these HPD events, they want to get you out of the intermediate and stuff. Yeah, they want to put you up in advanced right away, and it's like, I'm not right, and I would love that more.
Yeah.
So
yeah, definitely. So like I said, I can forward you guys my email, or you guys already have it actually in the email, but I'll forward it to you guys. We can go any track you desire, depending on how far it is. If I need some extra travel money to travel, I have no problem doing so.
Maybe I'll talk CarGuy into meeting like at Grattan or at one of the Michigan or Mid Ohio, and we can.
Yeah. If you guys want to run Grid Life and get an experience for that, and
so they're coming out here. They're coming to Illinois twice this year, huh?
We'll be at Audubon. Was it 4th of July weekend? 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, I think it is. And then there's another event. There might be another event, I think, at the end of September. I'm not 100% sure. I know it's what's this Subaru of Chicago, I think it's called. I know they're kind of a part of it. But like anything like Honda Meet or Grid Life, any of those like really popular track day events will be with Grid Life. We dictate all the same rules and regulations and class breakup, and then driver.
Yeah, that would be cool. Grid Life's going to Groton. I don't know.
Yeah, I believe so. That or Gingerman. I knew it was one of the Michigan tracks for sure. I think they go there a couple times. That's like
Grid Life though. Isn't Grid Life competition?
part of it is. It depends. I was looking into that, and some of the things, and I could be wrong, but I mean, some of the things, it depends on the track. Like some of them were open HPDE, and then other ones were proper racing events.
Racing,
so,
right?
yeah, I think it depends on the place. I'm sure Tim will clarify that.
But even that'd be awesome, and we can split Tim.
That's what I was thinking, right? I was like, that's fantastic, because we need a break, right? You don't want to sit there and the whole day. You can't go one after another. We both have to take breaks, and that would be fantastic. We could meet at a mid-track somewhere at Mid-Ohio. He's talking up Mid-Ohio, which is interesting.
The only thing with Mid-Ohio, I think he's saying there's not much runoff, so
Yeah, that spooks me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Tim.
I can't get a charger to work in this house. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Yeah, Mid-Ohio's fun, but if you want to do very effective coaching, it's going to be like Gingerman or Autobahn. Road America's fun, but to give my full effect, Road America is just a horsepower track and a mile per hour track where, yes, you'll get a lot of training done. Like I said, I just literally picked that kid up 25 miles an hour in the carousel at Road America in a 20-minute session.
Gingerman would be great. I want to go to Gingerman.
Yeah.
We talked about it, so that would be a fantastic track to go to.
Yeah, it's a really fun track. It's literally 2.5 hours from me, so I go there at least a few times a year where we can cross paths, and I could stay longer or go sooner, and definitely do that and get that taken care of, because there's no problem doing it one time a day, but a lot of people, obviously you guys already have some track experience, which is a little bit easier, but when you get actual beginners that buy cars that I myself as a pro driver would never buy or be able to track, it's a lot harder to have to hold it down. Like, you just bought a brand new Ferrari, like Scuderia. You bought like a $500,000 430. Like, you should be out like in a Toyota Prius or something. Like, that's already way too much of a track for us. So that's the hardest part, is getting them to slow down. Just like my Z06 guys. I get guys that buy brand new Z06s, C7 or C6. I haven't been able to drive their C7s yet because they just bought them. But it's just like, you just bought like the best car in like the world, and now you just want to take it to the track the first week you bought it. And I'm like telling you to like slow down, not because I'm scared, but like we're literally doing like 165 miles an hour on the straightaway. And I know you're looking at the dash like we're in a drag race, but we have to slow down to like 20 miles an hour in like 2 seconds to make a right-hand turn.
And they're never going to let a Miata pass them, no matter what. So they're going to drive 100%.
It's even worse though if it's like a Honda Civic that's like all rusted out and the rear quarter panel's Bondo. That's even worse than a Miata, because it's like, well, at least that's a sports car, not just a stupid Honda. And these Hondas are making like 400 horsepower, and they weigh like 100 pounds. So the power to weight ratio is still faster in the Honda than it is in the Corvette.
CarGuy and I were briefly talking about grid life. We don't understand, like, each event at different places. It seems like it's an actual race at some places, but then it's open track at others. Is that correct? Or okay?
Yeah. So the first event at Mid-Ohio this year for us, because no one's ran there last year, and there was talk about it last year to run. We usually go to Gingerman at the same time. Is a shakedown. So I just built my car. I just got it ready to go. Most tracks are closed, or I got to spend a few $100s to get into a track to shake my car down before I go to an event and spend thousands of dollars to prep my car and race it. So they go to this shakedown and they get their car ready to make sure if they had any oil issues or braking issues that it's taken care of before the actual race itself, or the event itself, put it that way, because there's not actually a race. And then some events are festivals. So there's, a lot of bands that come, huge car show, 10,000 plus people. And these $300 or $400 driver's passes sell out in under 2 minutes. So
Wow.
People are like on the hook to buy these tickets, like as soon as they come out. So some of them are race, some of them are festival, some of them are just shakedowns. So just make sure my car is good before the actual big event comes.
I think for some reason we lost the video feed. Looks like just Autonuts showing up for some reason.
Yeah, it's been skipping in and out all day.
But anyway, I think that's some great information there, Tim.
Yeah.
Thanks for stopping in and
Definitely.
sharing the information. I think yeah, we'll definitely be in touch, and we can go over some more details of different things. But yeah, I mean, you're a wealth of knowledge, and we're just beginners here, but just
Yeah,
here
no,
for
everybody's got to
fun.
begin
So,
somewhere.
yeah. So
Definitely call me for another show in the future. I'd love to jump on.
sure, that'd be awesome. All right, Tim. Thanks
Yeah.
for stopping by. We'll see you.
Definitely. Thanks, guys. Enjoy
All right.
enjoy the weekend.
Thanks.
You too.
And Autonut, I don't know if can you see if we're showing or no?
I'm sorry. Can we see what?
Do you see us showing or not?
I still
Guys
can't-
from the audience, can you see us?
So I have it right now, and it shows you talking now. I mean, it was
Okay.
stuck on me for a while, and then all of a sudden, whatever you clicked seemed to fix it.
All right, good.
But I think it's stuck on you now, though, because I've been talking for a little bit, and I didn't see it pop up yet. But either way, it doesn't matter.
Jay is saying it's going back and forth, but that covered a lot of the track prep. I did make a video, and he pretty much covered all those points about the tire pressure, torque in the wheels, obviously the brakes, brake fluid, oil level, and then of course the helmet. The Snell 2015 is the latest standard, and most tracks will take the 2010 standard. But that was the track prep.
Yeah, he covered a lot in a very. He just really done. It was fantastic. I mean,
Yeah.
God, I didn't know the guy had that much experience. I mean, he was proper. I mean, you know, he started at 4 years old karting. I mean, come on, that's like Indy kind of. That's like that's that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean that would honestly be awesome to experience. It's kind of like I have a fascination with Randy Popes because I see him on Motor Trend, and it's like I love to experience someone that's that experienced. Like I know I suck, but like I mean, like what give me
No, I know, because like even the events we do, these are people that they've been around and stuff like that, but they don't have nearly the experience like him or some of these other guys do. It'd be interesting to see what their perspective of how you drive and what you do.
Right.
I mean,
yeah, for such a young guy too. I mean, he's
wow.
Yeah.
Good for him. Yeah, it was a shame that the one thing I did want to ask him is, when I change over to a big brake kit, I'm leaning towards Willwood, but whatever one I do, it doesn't seem like there's aftermarket support for the pads. Like you're stuck with that company and that company's pads.
Right. That's
really weird because like that's another thing that seems to be pretty decent about Willwood is they had a lot of pads for their calipers, and I wanted to ask him that. I was like, why? Because they seem to use like one caliper for like every brake. Like Willwood has like 6 different calipers or maybe 8. They don't have like 100,000 of them, and then they use the adaptation bracket for each vehicle. And it seems like that's a no-brainer for these guys.
Wow.
Hey,
Chad's back.
I'm back. Holy cats. And the thing still isn't right.
A shame that the one thing I did want to ask him is, when I change it.
There you go.
So yeah, that was, I mean, did you hear what I said about that though, Car Guy? It's like, it seems like an easy thing for those
Oh, no.
It's getting worse.
It's overloaded.
All right, guys, I got to get going.
I had to insert some youth.
Are you calling us old?
Someone else did.
J.A.? No.
Matt Rosenthal did.
Oh, Matt, yeah.
Oh,
He's
Well-
he's only like 12.
Who's the oldest guy here? Who's the oldest here? I'm 43.
29, so.
How about
Next
you,
topic. No, but I wanted to talk a little bit about the track app and track software. I didn't even want to attempt to ask what he used because he had like 20 some channels. V-Box Pro or
Yeah.
Holy heck.
tell me that Z06 that they use for data collection isn't like the engineer's dream. I mean, it's like
Oh, I
every
know.
sensor and everything on there. I'm like, oh my god.
yeah. Yeah, that's insane. I mean, you need a crew to keep up with that, but
Oh yeah.
yeah, so the last track I tried, that Harry's lap timer, and while it was pretty cool as far as I like seeing the corner speeds and the straight speeds and all that, which Track Addict I used last year didn't do. But the OBD part of it, I just couldn't get it timed up and synced, and it's a lot harder to use. So that's why I haven't done a video on explaining how to use it, because I'm still trying to figure it out. And I mean, I got it watchable for that last video, but it's really off. I mean, so still trying to figure it out. I don't know if anybody else uses that in the chat, but I know Chad used it last time as well, and kind of had the same issues, right, Chad?
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, I can diagnose problems with laptops, I guess, but learning an app like that where there's a wealth of information, holy cow, and the acronyms and stuff that computer geeks use on some of this stuff, I don't have the time to research it. Yeah, there you go. I don't have the time or the patience to research it. And then Marco and I, CarGuy11 and I, we tried to figure it out there a little bit last week, and we got some headway, I guess. But you were saying earlier, CarGuy, that it's still not right, but maybe we can figure it out. Two minds are better than one, I guess.
Right, and then Autonut also bought it, so he'll be testing it out too, but he hasn't had a chance to get his car out yet.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. I mean, I got to play around with it slightly, but not actually on the track or anything. I think, yeah, it seems odd. I mean, I was looking at some of the data collection I was doing, and yeah, you have to be an advanced user, as they say, to really understand the communication between that and the software. So we'll see.
And I even bought a new OBD, thinking the Wi-Fi one was acting up, but because they recommend this Kiwi 3, which is a Bluetooth, and it wasn't really no better. So I don't know.
I'll give you, you can have the V-Peak back.
No, I mean, we're gonna see what works the best, but yeah, you keep trying it, but yeah,
Thank
I
you.
don't know. But
Road racing, did you try any other OBD sensors, data loggers besides that one?
No, just the one OBD scanner, but CarGuy was using Track Addict last year, and I think I may have tried it for a session. And that's not in any way saying that it wasn't good enough. I just figured I'll stick with the Harry's for a little bit. I still have the Track Addict on my iPhone, so I may revisit it.
yeah, I may as well. The other thing I like about Track Addict, you could pick the different overlays, because I like to do the split screen where the data is on the bottom half of the screen, and then I put my outside view on the top half. And the Harry's, if I did that, you'd cover all the information. There's no options to change the the view or the overlay. So
Hey, real quick, J.A. put a question a little bit. He said, if you guys could take any car on the track, what would it be?
Oh,
I asked
boy.
him if money was an object, and he said no. So it has to be
well,
any.
I would like to answer that because I had this this kind of realization at the last track session, and I kind of told you guys, but it's not all about going fast, and to be honest, my car's too damn fast. I mean, it's scary in a way, and it's like I actually you know, I let off. I mean, I don't push it as fast as it can go, and it could go way faster. It's just you know, you maybe it's the age thing too. We're a little older, but I don't. I start to have that fear, and maybe when I was younger, I didn't have that fear, but it's like, am I going to be able to stop? Am I going to be, you know? And I don't want to crash this awesome car, so like. There's a lot of fear in that, and I can imagine if a car was even more money, like say you had a Ferrari or say you had a even a Porsche that's over $100,000. It takes the joy away from it, and there's something to be said about having a cheap car, like Tim was saying too, like the Honda. It's cheap to fix. It's cheap to, you know, you're not going to get to a speed where you're going to kill yourself, and
You can just focus on your driver ability.
Focus on the driving, makes it more fun.
It's kind of the James May principle, guys, right? A slow car driven at its limit is actually going to be more fun than a very fast car that you're never going to get to its limit unless you're a professional driver, right?
Right.
Yep.
And I'm kind of jealous of Autonut because he's sort of in a situation where he has a very fast car, but it's not as expensive as, you know, like the newer cars, and it's just a little better feeling, I think, even though it's still, you know. What do you think? I don't know.
No, that's exactly it, and that's why I bought that car. I mean, the fear of crashing can't get in your head, or you're not going to have any fun. You know, I literally bought that car saying, if I trash it and put it into a wall, I mean, not so what, but it's not gonna affect me financially. And that was one thing that I was adamant about, picking a car that could still be very fun, and you know, that you wouldn't lose your mind if you crashed it per se.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's but then the more money you put into it, now the car's starting to get a little bit more expensive, and then you start going the exact opposite, like you're saying. Now you have so much money into it, and I can only imagine these people that put 110, 150 grand into a track car, and you know, it happens. I mean, you saw just your last race, that Cobra hitting the wall. I mean, shit happens, unfortunately.
Yeah, definitely. And Tim was talking about getting the track insurance. I always think of that, but it's so damn expensive, especially when you have an expensive car.
Yep.
And it's even the deductible that goes with it, it's out of pocket. I mean, it's not like it covers 100%. So I don't know.
Real quick, going back to JA's question, is you drove those cars, the Extreme Experience, remember?
Yeah.
You know? And you got to drive those cars, and that goes back to what Tom was saying. You know, you don't get to. I drove a handful of those cars, you know, and the F430 and all these different ones, and you're not good enough for the car. It's like going out. I always use the analogy of golf. People that want to golf, they go out and get like a, you know, $2,000 set of clubs from, you know, ping clubs, and it's like, you know, a $50 set at Dick's is going to do just fine for your experience level, you know.
Absolutely. But anybody else want to answer that question?
You know, for me, the looks of a car matters nothing for its how it is on the track and stuff. But I like to have a car that looks bitchin'. But the GT3 RS, looks bitchin', and is probably would be an awesome car
Hmm.
to take on the track. You know, and I'm a GM guy, so that's going outside my comfort zone. But
It's-
a Grand Sport would be pretty cool too.
It's funny you mentioned that because even that was Tim's car, and obviously Tim is affluent enough that he could afford a bunch of different vehicles, but that was one that was like, yeah, that's his car too.
And that's why I'm eyeing up that GT4 Cayman RS. A little bit cheaper
Yeah.
than the 911.
Good eye.
GT3.
Yeah.
But then again, that's pretty damn expensive still, and then I'll be afraid to
Sure.
drive it. So.
That's why you have to keep the Corvette.
Yeah, I'm gonna be like, who cares about the Corvette? But no, one thing about the Corvette that I love that, Chad, you were saying about how it looks, and I mean, that is one thing that's awesome about that car. I drove yesterday, I think, and this kid was like, in my neighborhood, he's like, "Is that a Lamborghini?" I'm like, "No, it's a Corvette."
Well, when we left there a few weeks ago or 2 weeks ago, when we left Al's corner shop there,
Yeah.
you had pulled out, and it was at night, and all the black highlights on your car, the tinted windows, and it sounded awesome, but it just looks so badass. It looked great. The blue with the black, yeah, it looked great.
Street Speed. Remember he did that interview with is it Taj or who's the guy that developed it?
Are you talking about the one the designer?
Yeah, the black guy.
Yeah, the
I always
GM
forget his
guy.
name.
Yeah.
And he was talking about that C7 was strictly aimed at getting some younger crowd. He's like, and they did. They made it more interesting to the younger people by far. So
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, the C7 got a lot of conquest buyers for General Motors. Also, people that had never bought a General Motors vehicle.
Yep.
Brought them in.
Yep.
Jay said Ed Wellborn is his name. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a cool guy.
So Tom Gear, we didn't get to hear your dream car for the track.
I'm a simple man. No, I'm not. I'm actually very high maintenance.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I'm kind of losing my passion for track driving just because every time I go, it's overcrowded, and there's people that are on the track that shouldn't be on the track. And I'm spending good money, and I'm disappointed. Like, I am an aggressive driver, and I'm not the best driver in the world, but I'm also not the guy that's scared as hell of being behind the wheel. I am a little braver. I'm kind of known for not using the brakes. But yeah, I tell you, the best time I ever had on track was when I was in Atlanta at Atlanta Motorsport Park, when I had the track all to myself, and I didn't rent it out myself. I was part of a rally, and it just so happened to be that everyone that was on the rally didn't want to be on the track. So I'm like, I'm going to keep going, and I kept going till my brakes overheated in my Mustang, and my car was going lean because I was cornering so hard. There's a real long sweeper, and it was going lean, and I was like, I'm going to destroy my car. I'm going to wreck it if I keep going. And because I was enjoying it so much because I had a track to myself. How many times do you get a track to yourself unless you're extremely wealthy, So, yeah, I know that was kind of a long-winded thing because I am long-winded, but nowhere near as long-winded as that kid. But I don't know. My next car is probably going to be a C6 Z06. Say whatever you want about it.
Did you hear what he said?
Yes.
Did you hear what he said about it?
I was listening. I missed part of it. He said something about weight.
It's scary, the handling.
Oh, my C6 is scary, so I definitely.
I know. Even Randy Pope said he won't drive that car without the stability control on.
Wow.
And I know I took my stability control. I turned it off completely one time, and I almost wrecked the car. So I tried showing off at a red light.
Is there a police? Is there a police car outside your house?
Yeah.
Right, you have a neon sign in your front window.
Yeah.
Tom Garrett, it was funny that you know, Car Guy and I talk about that all the time. That's the only Corvette I would properly like to buy is the C6 Z06. I mean,
Wow,
I'm
it's
still in love.
undervalued.
Oh, absolutely.
Did you
And-
hear what he said about the C5 though?
Yeah, I mean that's why I asked him the question. So a lot of people race the C5 Z06s, and that's what I was
Well,
asking
they're a
him.
lot more affordable too. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, and that's why I asked him, and I thought weight and money. That's the reason I thought, and he said it was about suspension geometry, and I don't know enough about the Corvette history to know what really is different. I would think the C5 would have inferior suspension geometry, but whatever.
I'm a simple guy, but you know, I think going back to the looks department, the C6 Z06 is light years ahead of the C5 Z06, and I'm not saying the C5 Z06 is not a capable car.
Absolutely, C6 is much better. C5's ugly.
Yes.
It's downright ugly.
JAS, what's the best track on the East Coast?
VIR.
I was gonna say VIR, but there's a lot on the East Coast.
So I
Watkins
haven't
Glen.
been there, but I think, you know, CarGuy11 and I was talking to him yesterday. I said, I'm trying to plan a trip to Virginia Beach, and it would be awesome if we could, I don't know, maybe spend a night at VIR, because they do have those condos that are available for rent.
Good point. Yeah.
So if we could tie it into a track event, that would be awesome.
All right. Sweet.
I've never been there.
You guys need to go to a proper track. I think you would not regret
That is
it.
a track that would favor a Corvette for sure, or a Mustang, a later model Mustang like mine. But
Is it a high horsepower track for sure? I know it's a very technical high.
I thought it's got some long straights.
Okay.
I think, you know, Road America is definitely faster, and yeah, Road America's, but VIR, I don't know exactly, but I think it's pretty. There's the tree and stuff. So
I know VIR is definitely more technical than Road America, for sure. I'm not saying that it's less fast, but it's definitely more technical.
I gotta get
Because you got the elevation.
I gotta get my new power stop brakes.
Are
New
you
rotors.
getting new brakes?
I don't know. I took my power stops off today and put the factory ones back on, because I had the last track session, I had some pulsing, and it was like the pad material got deposited on the rotors. So, and in addition, they were getting low. So like the fronts were, you know, about ready for replacement. So I'm going to the factory right now, and then I'll probably maybe look into those track pads, the power stop track pads. We'll see. Are you gonna put yours on the track, the Corvette? Because Tom here just got the ones I have, the power stop C26s, but he doesn't brake as much as I do.
It'll probably go on the track once or twice this year. Yeah, for sure.
All right.
Try them out.
I only noticed it when they got hot. Like on the street, they were fine. So I mean, heck, I might put them back on for the street. I don't know, but I got to take it into the dealer here this week. So I'm gonna try to swindle them into getting me new rotors, because there's supposedly a TSP on replacing the rotors. My rotors have this cooling ring that they, I think it was a last minute change that they put these rings on to help with cooling, and then they came out with a new rotor design after that, and supposedly there's a TSP that they'll replace your rotors if they're warped. So I'm going to say mine are warped, which they are. So we'll see how that goes. Well, I think it's pad material. I don't think it's really warped, but I mean, can you measure that? Would the pad material cause it to go out of?
Yes.
It will. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, when they say warped, that's supposed to be run out, and no rotors really fail for run out. they fail from width, from from the x-axis, and that's because of pad material. That's why they cut when you get your rotors cut, you'll hear them. It's not because the rotor is actually shifting left to right per se, and but yeah.
Yeah,
Same
so
problem.
I figured they would complain if I had non-factory pads on, so I just put the factory pads on, and
I
see
can't
what
wait to
happens.
see what happens. I mean, it's going to be interesting. I have a funny feeling that they're just going to change them. I really do.
Yeah, especially if there's like a TSP for it, it's going to be less work for them to get paid. And
Hell, you blew out your rear end. I didn't even ask you what happened.
yeah, we didn't even get to really talk about all the different racing types, but yeah, I've done it all in the Corvette: drag racing, autocross, and road racing. I like road racing the best, although it's starting to make me nervous too. But drag racing, I blew out the rear end last year. A lot of you guys know, but was replaced under warranty. Autocross is pretty cool too, except I don't know. That really takes. I mean, the tires really get beat up on autocross even more than road course, I think. So,
Yeah.
and it's not as fun for me. I don't. It's hard to learn the track on autocross for me. So,
Road racing. Did you do any autocross in your Camaro?
I went to I guess it was an introduction to autocross at Pit Race last year. I'll make two excuses. The Goodyear F1 supercars need a lot of heat for grip.
Oh, you don't get that.
First time I ever attempted autocross with that power, I was all over the place. I looked like a fool. So whenever I'm going to go to the RE71Rs. A lot better tire for autocross. Doing that on the 305s.
Wow.
So
yeah, I'm a fan of autocross, but can you guys hear me?
Yep.
yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm on my phone. The one thing I'll say about autocross is it's low pressure. So you can really, you're not really going over 45, 50 miles an hour in most cases, but you can safely explore the limits of your car, especially in cornering, right? So that's kind of the fun I see in it. Yeah, sometimes the courses are hard to do. I just did one last weekend, and I got lost every single time because it was a really difficult course, and there were so many people that I didn't have enough opportunity to go frequently enough. So I kept forgetting my way around, and it was very embarrassing. But I like it because, yeah, you can explore the limits of your car. You can turn everything off.
I spun mine last year at autocross. I made a video on that. If you guys saw that one. That was fun.
But yeah, you can, if you spin your car out on the track, you might hit somebody else, you might hit a wall, you could flip. You spin it out doing autocross, you might hit a cone. I mean, there are some really rare circumstances where people have hit, gone way off course and actually hit things that cause damage. There was a guy last year that hit a guardrail Pit Race, which I actually almost had happen one time in the rain. And I've almost hit people before. That's a long story. But yeah, that's I think it's fun.
Well, if there's anybody else have any questions, otherwise, probably.
I have one for road racing. Why the RE71Rs? I'm a big Potenza fan. I like the RE11s as the tire I'm still leaning towards.
I guess because it's the new thing, and some people have said, gentleman who had a Z28, Gen 5 Z28, and his name is escaping me, but he's an SCCA champ.
Wow.
He said the RE71 is light years ahead of the RE11.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So
They look extreme.
I'm gonna in August.
They look way more aggressive. I mean, they're almost like a slick. So the RE 71s.
200 tread wear. I'm going to participate in an event at Pit Race in August called the Northeast Muscle Car Challenge. It's just for fun. I mean, it's a competitive event. Brian Johnson, who has a 2013 1LE, of course, runs in the Ultimate Streetcar series. He won this event 2 years in a row. But you know what? I went out there and watched those guys, and there's so many guys like, just come out and have fun. And that's what I'm going to do. But you need a 200 treadwear tire. So I'm just going to go with the RE71R.
Cool tire. Cool tire. I can't wait to hear what you say about it.
Yeah, well, I don't know how much experience or feedback I can give, but we'll see. Hopefully soon we'll get those tires.
This one guy always comments. He has a Corvette as well. He always comments on my track videos. Get the RE71Rs. You'll save 2 seconds a lap.
Wow.
So, yeah, that's another endorsement for him, I guess. But I like the Michelin Pilot Super Sports because they last long and they're good street tire and track tire. I did measure my tires today. I should be passing inspection. It was like 4/10. So I think you need 2/10 to pass. So.
3, I believe.
I thought it was 2. Isn't the wear bar at 2?
Yeah, you're better at remembering that stuff than I do. So you're probably right. But yeah, I always thought it was 3/10.
Palm gear, don't you know?
He's muted.
He's doing his hair.
Oh.
Yeah, it's been collapsing all day because of the humidity. I honestly have no idea. I've got a guy, so I don't usually have to worry about tire depth. So.
Oh, hey, Faizan. Thanks for the nice comment. I'm glad you're enjoying the videos. What car do you have? If you don't mind me asking.
So road racing, when we were at Car Guy and Tom Gear and myself were at SEMA, we got to see, I don't know if they were walking with me or not, but the whole middle area was full of all the Optima Street Challenge cars. And I mean, it was amazing. Some of these cars were just, it was every car out there. I mean, I even saw a couple, you know, I'm a GTO guy. There was like 3 GTOs even. I was like, oh, there you go. And yeah, the Corvettes, they had a little bit of everything there. And yeah, that's a wild, I don't know much about that whole thing. I don't know how far you have to be in that. Do you have to be like, I mean, most of those cars that were in that row were pretty hardcore.
Yeah. Yeah, the cars that have won the last few years, yeah, there's some money in them. I mentioned Brian.
Do they have class? Do they have classes or something? I mean,
yes. Ken Thwaites, who ran a 1LE 1 year and then a Z28, and now he's running an Evo. I'm trying to remember the classes, but
that's an interesting layout.
Swing, yeah, it is. It is, and Ken is a diehard Camaro guy. I mean, he has a collection of Camaros that is pretty impressive. But the class that Brian Johnson is in, I believe there's a weight. Part of it is a weight defined class.
That makes sense. But
Brian's Camaro is impressive. Well, okay, he is impressive. His Camaro is a 13 1LE. He bought it stock. He's an engineer for Honda. He did the dampers on Honda's Formula One team for a time.
Holy hell!
But he runs the Detroit Speed suspension on that. The past couple of years, he ran 285/20 the Michelin, and he told me they were the run flat tires on Forge Line 20-inch wheels, and he's still running. He's still running the OE 1LE calipers for the 4 pots, but he's running, and I don't recall the name. It's an aftermarket rotor. It's a lot lighter. It's a 2-piece rotor for the SS.
DBA.
No, they're out of Ohio. He's from Ohio, and I'm trying to remember this company's name, but he has a built engine, the transmission, but first off, he's an engineer, but he is an amazing driver, and he'd stepped up to 305 tires all around, 19-inch forge lines just this year, and he went with the RE71Rs. And he had a post on Facebook here. It was either today or yesterday. He picked up 3 seconds from the track that they are running right now over last year. So he's a phenomenal driver, and he's very approachable. I mean, I was asking him questions, and I hated to, impose too much. When I was out there at pit race last August for this Northeast Muscle Car Challenge, but super nice guy. And hope to talk to him again. I did talk to him on Facebook here a few months ago, and he was very open and gave me a lot of info.
So
but
that's the setup you're looking for, Chad?
I'll be running 305 RE71s like he has, and I had picked up some forge lines here recently.
Wow, that's a substantial investment.
Well, I got them at a very nice price. They're secondhand, but hardly even used.
So what? Yeah.
I was the right place, right time. Yeah, thanks. And the gentleman, actually, he lives in St. Augustine, Florida, but is from Tonawanda, New York, and his daughter was graduating from college up there, and he and his wife were making the trip up there, so he delivered them right to my house. What a guy. So, some of those cars, you're getting back to your original point. Some of them are radical, but some of them aren't that crazy. And Brian's car is one of those that's not super crazy to look at it. It looks like a 1LE that is dropped with some forge lines, and he makes the difference. And he proves that every time he goes on the track. He's the fastest. So
what do you have to do to get 305s in the front? Because that's like the holy grail on heavy front cars like we have.
Well, there are some guys that have squeezed 325s, I think, on the front of a Gen 5. It's all about the offsets. These wheels are square 20-millimeter offset. He sold them to me with 315 Hoosier R7s on it, which that's too much tire for me. And the proper offset is all the difference. And of the guys out there, the vendors and the tuners that get the forge lines, they will not tell anybody what the offsets are. So I've done a lot of research. I think I have an idea. The only difference is I don't have coilovers. I'm running the Z28 stuff, so I don't have as much room, potential room between the tire and the strut, because that's where the interference is, tire to strut clearance. But I have a kind of an idea. When I get a pair of RE71s to try on the front, then I'll go. But and in the rear, there's all kinds of room on the inside, assuming you get the right offset. But so we'll see. My problem is I like to play with cars, just not about the driving. But I'm always searching and trying to understand them better and the feeling. And right now, the alignment I have on it feels phenomenal on the stock tires. And I'm like, man, I don't want to touch it. It's so perfect. But I'm killing the inside of my tires running on the street because of the alignment. But it feels amazing.
How much camber are you running?
2.4. That's it's maxed out up front, and 1.2 in the rear.
It's a lot in the rear.
Yeah, they say for a Gen 5, about half of the front is a good target, and zero toe up front, a 16th toe in the rear, if I'm remembering correctly.
That's what's killing me is that the front camber. I'm pushing only 1.5.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's the biggest weak link on the GTOs is you can't put rubber under there and you can't get good camber. It's just you're screwed.
Do they have camber plates for that?
Nope.
No. Wow.
No. People have done some different aftermarket ones, and I've been researching that for years because that's the next step for sure, and it's not pretty. You're doing a lot of cutting and welding into the structural part of the car, you know. So that's why I'm jealous about that. I mean, it's like, you know, you can saving weight and doing different things like that are easy, but to be able to have infinite adjustments on suspension is invaluable in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
You guys are talking about -2 point. What was it? 2.5 in the front.
Yeah, -2.4.
So I'm just looking at my alignment sheet here. I just got my Corvette aligned with brand new tires. I'm doing -0.6.
That's a Corvette, though. That's a whole other animal. A
it's
Corvette.
50-50.
Yeah,
I think I'm 1 or 1.2 in the front.
Yeah, you guys have low center of gravity, like Autonut said. The weight balance is perfect. A lot more rigid suspension, less deflection. You have a lot of things going for you. You know, my Camaro with me in it is easily over 4,000 pounds. Autonut, you mentioned about your GTO. Well, you probably have.
Well, GT is not that heavy, but I am.
Right.
Yeah, it's bigger vehicles. I mean, Tom's C6, what's that? That's like 2,400 or so, isn't it? Or
No,
3,200.
it's like 3,300.
I mean, 30. I'm sorry. I wanted to say 3,400. My apologies.
Yeah, my MR2 is 2,400.
Right. My Corrado was 2,150.
Why don't you bring the MR2 to track day, Tom?
It's not allowed on the track.
Oh, is it that bad?
No, the convertible.
It doesn't have a roll bar.
Okay.
And it wouldn't be able to.
It would spin.
Spin tires.
Oh, it'll spin tire. It's 200 powered for a track.
Just gotta find a short track, like Tim was saying. I mean, it depends on the track. You get some of those tracks.
If it's a shorter track with a lot of turns, it would be all right. But yeah,
that's why I was so surprised that Tim didn't go to Blackhawk. Blackhawk is a smaller track, and with his car selection, man, he would have a field day up there. It's very, very short track.
He didn't mention Blackhawk, or
he mentioned it. He said he's never been there. It's only a little north of us. It's much closer than what's the other one? Not Grattan, but the one in Michigan that we're talking about. The
Gingerman.
Yeah, Gingerman. It's much closer in Gingerman. But
all right, guys, I think we'll wrap it up here. Almost at 2 hours, and but yeah, it was pretty good. A little bit different topic here than the normal live stream, and I mean, hardcore racers will like it, but others maybe not. A lot of it's over my head.
It was way above my head too.
Yeah. But
I can't wait to hear about road racing's. You got a pretty good events lined up this year. That'll be fun.
Yeah, you know, I'm gonna do some more track days with Marco and maybe Tom if he's gonna show up for any. But yeah,
I'm a busy man.
There you are. That Northeast Muscle Car Challenge. It just there's a lot of neat cars there. It's one day of the North Track at Pit Race, and then 2 days of autocross. They used to do 1 day at North Track, 1 day of the track cross that Pit Race used to have, and then 1 day of autocross. So I'm going to learn a lot about autocross here. But so just going out to have fun and, you know, talk to some car guys and see some neat cars.
We all got to go to Gingerman and rent Tim for 1 day.
Yeah, definitely.
Split it 4 ways. It'll be a lot more economical.
His eyes will be spinning.
Because I'm sure there's very unique driving styles between all of us. So it will be
Tom won't take any instruction.
Nope.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining in the live stream. It was fun. If you have any more questions about track driving or anything, definitely comment or message me. And now we have access to Tim as well. We can always ask him questions. So, but thanks for joining us. Have a good rest of the night, and I'll see you in the next one.
See you, fellas.